Today's topic will not be about business or money, but rather about character and changes in the way you perceive this life. You know that every person sooner or later begins to live separately, and this is very cool. When I was a child, I always wanted to move from my parents. Now I'm 24 years old. I left home for the first time at 16, but then I returned. Everything changed when I moved to Moscow at 21. From that moment, I started to live on my own. I can say one thing. Moving out of your parents' house will change your life before and after. Let me explain in this video why. I felt excited when I moved into university accommodation. Before that, I had always lived in a clean and spacious apartments. I always had my own room and many amenities around. I understood that I would now find myself in a completely new atmosphere where there would always be a lot of people and noise around. But to be honest, I even wanted to experience it. I didn't live in the dormitory for long because initially there weren't enough places for me and my uni moved me from one hotel to another. However, after a few months of this, I found myself surrounded by students. It was an amazing experience and I often remember those times. I met very good guys, most of whom had completely different interests and plans for this life. But still, a few months later I started renting an apartment and it was the beginning of one of the most magical periods of my life. It was time of turning points that changed everything. I want to tell you what exactly changes in your habits, character and way of thinking when you understand that only you are in charge of your life and there are no more parents behind you who will back you up. First, you understand that now everything depends only on you. Let me clarify right away. I have excellent relationships with my relatives. I keep in touch with all of them, calling them on a daily basis and talking about our lives, but I'm responsible for my well-being, no one else. In the very first time after moving, you will feel some kind of changes in your way of thinking. You'll begin to constantly look for opportunities, you'll take more risks, and you'll definitely not stand still. Yes, I agree. This doesn't apply to everyone, but my channel is created for people who take their life into their own hands and strive for serious achievements. So, imagine that you have more freedom. At one moment, thousands of doors open around you and no one is stopping you from looking behind them. Moreover, you feel that a lot has changed and you are really capable of more than before. Even just at the level of sensations, you feel that something is about to begin. You have nothing to lose yet, but you no longer want to keep going with what you had before. You increase the threshold of risks that you take for the sake of the result. And thanks to this, even more paths become available. Just one piece of advice. Choose them wisely and don't follow slippery roads. You can fall very painfully and not even get up after that. You feel that staying still is equal to stopping any progress, and thanks to this you are constantly moving forward. And this is very cool. There are also downsides. When you start living alone, you have many problems that were not noticeable before. The most obvious one is that you need to provide for yourself. You must have a source of income that will keep you afloat. You also need to track your habits and not become a victim of temptations and bad addictions. Just be careful and use wisely all the opportunities that open up to you. Second, you'll begin to plan on a larger scale and look much further. The further your planning horizon, the more strategic way of thinking you have. If you are able to create a plan for a year ahead, this means that you know what you are doing and are always aware of what you will focus on today, tomorrow, in a week or 6 months. Successful businessmen and leaders always plan far ahead. Think about it. How can such people not have a vision for a long term? Where will they lead the people who follow them? To develop a company, you need to have a strategy. To lead teams of specialists, you need to be able to motivate them with the long-term goals. You must be able to focus on the benefits of future achievements. So, the same applies to your life. You are that leader and businessman who is starting to take control of his life, and you need to create a vision for your future. This is necessary in order to stay on the right course. When you plan your life, you calculate the consequences of all your actions. And this is very important when there are many opportunities and dangers around. Acquiring a new habit think about where it will lead you in 5 years. Starting to communicate with a new person, okay, what can he teach you? Will you be grateful for this meeting in the future? I would say that when you move to live separately, you stop thinking at the level of tactics and start looking at everything around you at the level of strategy. Let's take the issue of finance. You need to understand how to plan your budget, and it's very advisable to do this in such a way that you always have a reserve in case of some unpredicted circumstances. It won't be good if you go out of your money in the first weeks after moving. Don't you agree? Therefore, consider that by starting to live separately, you deliberately increase the level of difficulty in order to evolve and become stronger. Third, you'll begin to feel a need not only to take, but also to give. It probably doesn't come right away, but only after you achieve at least some success. I know a lot of people who experience the same thing as me. You will feel a huge gratitude to those people who made your life possible today. I'm talking mostly about your parents, partners, and close friends. You will want to repay them in the same coin for all of their help and support, for their faith in you and advices that helped you years ago. You'll remember people who treated you with care. I believe that financial assistance to parents is a very noble act, and we should support our families after getting back on our feet. I think that at the very first time it's more important to help yourself so as not to lose everything later and not to be forced to return to your old life. But as soon as you feel confident, take action. Many successful people suddenly come up to the point where they feel the need to open charitable foundations and donate large money to solve global problems. This is very generous and I think it should be done. But I myself haven't yet reached that level to give you any advice on this matter. Everything is still to come. One thing I can say with certainty is that moving is a bit like becoming rich. It scales up who you are. Finding yourself alone, you'll quickly scale everything good and bad that's in you. It can be both reason of victory and vice versa. And that's why you need to take the step seriously. Make sure it works to enhance your potential and doesn't drive it to the abyss. Guys, thank you so much for watching my content. You know I highly appreciate each of you. If you like this episode, give me your like. If you don't, give me your dislike. Write the comment below, follow my channel, and see you in the day after tomorrow, guys. Thank you so much.